Well, just want to say thank you for inviting me to speak to this Pathways into Engineering, this all-path regional event. What a great showing. I really enjoyed seeing what you kids were competing on. So they asked me to come in and talk a little bit about my journey. And so I just want to start out by saying that I didn't have anything mapped out or figured out when I was your age. I grew up in a small town in Texas, Perryton, Texas, north of Amarillo in the Panhandle, and just kind of got through school. School wasn't very challenging for me, but I wasn't trying very hard in academics. And whenever counselors said, hey, you need to consider going to college, you need to consider just going on to the next level, I thought, sure, okay, why not? Let's do that. I applied to Texas Tech University as an undecided major. Didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know what direction I wanted to be. And you go to campus and you take the tours and you're walking around the different colleges within the campus. And on the engineering campus at Texas Tech, a counselor got a hold of me and said, hey, what's your major? I said, I'm undecided, I don't know yet. Have you ever considered engineering? No, I hadn't, don't know very much about it. What are your math scores? How good are you in science and math? Well, I do fine. It doesn't concern me. So this counselor motivated me to attend a summer engineering camp sponsored by Texas Tech. So that was kind of the first step. I started seeing that people were being kind of put in my life in different times of my journey to kind of guide me. And so that was kind of one of the first times that somebody said outside of high school, outside of my small town, hey, why don't you try something different? So I went to this summer engineering camp, and that was a 2-week camp where they kind of taught you, this is, maybe this is how you used to study in high school. This is what it takes to go through study, regiment, best practices. Here's how electrical engineering compares to mechanical engineering, chemical, civil, all those types of disciplines. So I decided to pick electrical engineering. And like a lot of engineering disciplines, they're not easy. They're very challenging. So I started my journey in college as an electrical engineer and started getting into the first round. The first semester was fine. And then second semester, third semester, you start getting into the harder engineering classes. Well, let me tell you about one of the classes that really gave me a hard time. There's a class called thermodynamics that you take in an engineering major. And it's a study of heat exchange, small engine, big engines, just transferring cold to hot and what those calculations look like. Well, let me tell you, it really gave me a hard time. I did not understand that concept in the very beginning. So the problem was I didn't ask for any help. I was struggling in class. I didn't ask for any help. And so let me explain why I didn't ask for any help. I was never taught that at a young age. See, what I hadn't told you yet is, my parents migrated from Mexico, and when they were in Mexico, they started at school, but my dad only finished 3rd grade until his parents pulled him out of school and said, sorry, you got to work out in the field. We need you to go make money for us. My mom only finished 1st grade, and then her parents pulled her out of school and said, we need you to cook and clean for your siblings. So my home structure wasn't ideal from the perspective of having mentorship and guidance towards how to be successful in school. They just threw me to school and said, that's just what you got to do. But I didn't have any help at home. I didn't have any counseling at home that taught me how to ask for help. So now fast forward back to my first, hard class in engineering, thermodynamics. I didn't ask for help. I ended up failing that class. So that cost money, that cost time. It was embarrassing. I had to go back and take it again. But then, come in the next semester, I'm taking thermodynamics again. I figured it out enough to get by on that class. Well, then there was more classes that came that were very challenging. Now, at this point in my life, I I had run into some other challenges from the perspective of just these classes are hard. What are you going to do? Well, you have people, again, that I talked about that are put into in your life to guide you, to help you, to support you. At that point, I was talking a lot with my girlfriend, and, at the time, telling her how difficult it was. And she was a big supporter of mine that said, hey, you got to keep trying. You got to go in there and talk to those professors. Go in there, don't be shy, ask them for help. Ask them what you need to do in order to be successful. So the next hard class that came was an engineering lab circuits design. And it was one of those classes that had a reputation of really weeding out a lot of students. So I thought, okay, I'm going to listen to that advice. I'm not going to get myself in trouble. So I went in and talked to that professor before the class even got hard, and I said, Professor, I want to be successful. What is the key to be successful in this class? I hear the reputation as being very difficult. And he said to me, well, you got to be good at explaining pretty pictures. And I thought, what do you mean by that? Good at explaining pretty pictures. He said, you got to do the work. You got to do the engineering design. You got to figure out the circuitry. But then when you do a presentation, you got to be able to lay it all out and communicate it using graphs, using pictures, using diagrams, using schematics. If you know how to communicate what you did and why you did it, it's gonna lock in the knowledge of just knowing that circuitry. So that started gaining me confidence on, well, there's doing the work, and then there's also the documentation. There's also the presentation of it, to be able to articulate to your teammates, to your group, why you did what you did. So I learned the lesson, not asking for help, being afraid, being nervous about it, what that did for me, to reaching out for help. And from one year to the next, showing that was an improvement on this plan. Fast forward to after college, one of my upperclassmen, a friend of mine that graduated a few years ahead of me, had told me about an internship at a communications engineering firm that was available. And so I went and applied for this internship, and I started my career in telecom engineering. So to being a telecommunications engineer in that footprint allowed me to do consulting for telecommunications companies all over the Southwest. So whether it was Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, or Arizona, I got a chance to engineer fiber optic designs and do consulting on wireless projects, do marketing consulting, strategic planning, and that's kind of how I got my foot into the telecommunications space. I did that for 6 years, and then the opportunity opened up to come to East Texas and work for E-Tex Communications. I came in 2003 as the engineering manager for E-Tex. So I did that for 9 years. The board of directors, and after kind of proving myself to really help the company grow from where it had come from, I got the opportunity to become CEO of E-Tex. So that's my current position. I'm CEO of E-Tex Telecommunications. Now my role now is, I don't do as much engineering as what I used to, but I have to design the plan, the vision, the direction that we're going as a company, assess the competition that we have, and determine, do we have the right people in the right places? Do we have the right resources? Are we doing the engineering the way that we need to? So I love the projects that you did today, where you got to pick different types of power sources, and then you saw how different natural disasters could affect you. Tornadoes, windstorms, what would affect. A tornado can come in and do a lot of damage to anything above ground. Well, we've had those examples at E-Tex. We've had the examples of windstorms coming in and knocking down trees and knocking down power lines. A couple years ago, about 5 years ago, we had a tornado that came right through the heart of East Texas. In both of those situations, because all of our facilities are underground, we had zero damage. we had 0 service affecting outages from those storms. So we were able to withstand that and keep our schools connected, keep our customers connected. So the test and the competition you just went through today, it's real life examples. You have to make choices on your budgets, what you want to invest in, what your risks are, depending on saving money up front or investing more from the very beginning. So I appreciate what this program does. I appreciate what this competition is all about. But tying that back into why I'm here and why, I was asked to speak. I've always felt that, again, sometimes you may feel that it's hard to get into a room. It's hard to maybe break a barrier or get a chance or get an opportunity. And that's just something that I want to speak to. When I was young, because of my background, I told you about my parents not going through school. I always felt that I had a disadvantage, that I didn't have that mentorship, that I didn't have that guidance. Sometimes I felt embarrassed about, when my mom cleans houses, I clean houses with her. My dad works out in the farming and ranching. I did some of that, working on cattle, working on tractors, that sort of thing. And you start comparing yourself to other individuals. Well, I'm here to tell you that the number one lesson that I want you to take away, I've got 4 lessons I want you to think about. Number 1, where you came from, what your background is, it's not a weakness, it's a strength. It's what gives you the grit, it's what gives you the endurance, it's what gives you the fight to want to do better, to want to keep growing, to start in the foundation that your parents or your family has given you and take it to the next level. So never look at your experience as a negative experience. It's always an opportunity for you to grow and learn from it. Another lesson is that whether it's engineering, whether it's whatever other discipline that you plan, healthcare, any discipline, any career that you choose, life is a team sport. Don't ever do it by yourself. Learn to ask for help, and learn to ask for help as soon as possible. The sooner that you get clarification and clear direction of what the project is, what the goals are, the better suited you're going to be successful. So don't be shy, don't be concerned. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you care and you want to see it through. So learn to ask for help. Another lesson is be dependable. Be dependable. Your personality, your attitude, that energy that you bring into a room is very important. There are many times that you can have a rock star employee, a rock star, subject matter expert, but if you're not approachable, if you're not kind, if you don't know how to communicate, you're not going to stay on that team very long. You're not going to have people reaching out and asking for assistance or to even assist you. It never goes away. Okay, your personality, your attitude, how you treat other people is very, very important. Because as you can see, there are people who are hungry for jobs. Everybody wants whatever seat you're sitting in, there's somebody waiting for you to vacate that seat. And they're ready to fill it in your absence. So be mindful of that. Be kind and courteous. And just know that, you're part of an ecosystem. And we want all of us to get along. We want everybody to do well. So finally, what I want to leave you with is it's just the fact that this is a lifelong journey. And when you look at, to your left and to your right, sometimes you may compare yourself to some other people and you feel that you may not be at the same level. Well, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. And that's probably one of the biggest lessons. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You have to be the one that continues learning and continues growing. And that's very important. And that kind of goes the same with just always having a kind personality all the way through your life. You never stop learning. At 53 years of age, I'm constantly still reading, educating myself. Right now I'm learning a lot about AI, how to build some of those agents internally. So if you just continue to evolve your brain, again, you don't have to be the smartest in the room, but you'll always bring something to the equation. If you're willing to just keep working at it and keep training yourself, whether it's formally through some formal education or you just reading on your own and doing your own study, it is very important. And lean into your background. Lean into all the tough times that have made you who you are today. There's going to be many more in life. And also look for those people. I mentioned that counselor. I mentioned that girlfriend that was there to being supportive. I married her, by the way. Just wanted to give you that as an update. So just lean into those people that are put in your life to just keep pushing you forward. So thank you so much for inviting me out here. I'm glad to have been part of this regional event.